I don't regret it for a second. Not
Good.
for a second.
Good.
But no, those are some battles. But like we had played the Packers earlier that year. There wasn't like an immediate thing for me, but like Trent was helpful to me. I remember talking to Brett, like they played the Bears or somebody and we played them right after. And I called Brett. I'm like, hey, what do you think? Whatever. And it was just like, it was so great to get advice from like veteran quarterbacks. Like they put it away that like a coach could never put it. Like it was very helpful. But I remember we played the Packers that year of '03 where we went to the wild card for the first time. And everyone in the building was like, cause they know I'm like probably like, I don't know, like I'm not a mellow person. Okay. So everyone in the building was like, you got to control your emotions. You're going back to Lambeau. You're playing your friends, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll be coachable. I'll listen. And I just played boring. I controlled my emotions. I wore sleeves. I did like all this stupid stuff. I was just like, oh, I'm going to be like, I'm going to play it safe. And like, we could have won the game, but we lost. But you know why we lost? No one did anything special. And it was almost like we almost just like expected, like, I don't know, like we were almost just like happy to be there. Packers were this great team with all these future Hall of Famers and blah, 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 blah. And like we didn't win. And we could have won. And I just remember being like, whatever. So we make the playoffs that year, shockingly. Didn't expect to. It was like, forget what happened. There was some like play at the end of the year, week 17 or whatever, that like put us in the playoffs. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like we're going to the playoff, like wild card. Like, you know what? House money. And Mike Holmgren was kind of like house money. Like you guys, no one expected you to be here, blah, 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 blah. But he also said, listen, I coached at San Francisco. There was a moment where we as a coaching staff, Bill Walsh and everybody, we said, you know what? These guys are good enough, but they don't believe it. And he's like, I coached in Green Bay. And there was a moment in Green Bay with Reggie White and Brett Favre and those guys where it's like, as a coaching staff, we were like, these guys are good enough, but we don't know if they know it yet. And he said to us, he was like, listen, I remember we're in an Appleton, Wisconsin, night before the game hotel. And he was like, I have been there. I know what it takes. This team right here, the guys in this room, we have what it takes. You just don't believe it yet. As players, we as coaches, we believe it. You guys don't believe it yet. And so I think there was just like this mindset for me. Like, I'm like, you know what? Let's just go have fun. So many times for 3 years, I sat on the sidelines in Green Bay and I watched teams come in there and get intimidated by, Brett Favre and Reggie White and the mystique of Lambeau and Ray Nitschke and Bart Starr and cold weather. Like we were just as cold. Like our quarterback meetings at halftime were sometimes in the sauna. We would sit in there in the sauna and be like, all right, what do you like? Oh, I like 93 Blast. Or what do you like? Oh, I like XY Hook. Like, you like Dagger? Like, I love Dagger. Okay. And then we would run out of the locker room with like no sleeves on, run out like, oh, we're not cold. And like the other team would be like, gosh, I remember playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They'd be like, man, these guys are psycho. They're not even cold. It's freezing up here. We were cold, So anyway, just having this mindset of like, not intimidated. Don't care. Well, you're not as good as you think you are. I know you guys. You don't even practice outside. You hate the cold like we do. You practice in the Don Hudson Center if it's like 56 degrees. Just stop. We're good. We can do this. We know you don't believe in your defense either. Like whatever it was. So just like that mindset. And anyway, so the coin toss, we go out with John Randall, who's like one of my favorite teammates of all time, like hype man of all hype men. Like he's the best. And I just remember being fired up at Lambeau. Can you believe we took them to overtime? Like already a win. Got John Randall out here. And it was just cool. It was a really cool moment. We lost the game. But we could have lost the game a bunch of different times that game. And it was fun game to be a part of, like super fun. And I think like we lost on the last play of the game that year in a wild card. The very next year, we lost in the last play of the game at home to the Rams on a pass in the end zone that I threw too hard. And I really think that the loss in '03 in the playoffs, the loss in '04 in the playoffs really, really propelled us to the success that we had in '05 to be the 1 seed, to get the bye, to have the kind of year that we had. And then unfortunately, we didn't get it done in the Super Bowl, which is still crazy to me because I really felt like that was our year.